everybody, it's Kory. Thanks for joining me. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some of the features you might want to think about if you're going to be purchasing a rural property here in North Idaho. Now, what is a rural property? Here in North Idaho, especially the 5 counties that make up the Panhandle, a rural property is defined as something that's usually going to be 5 acres or more. And that is going to be outside of your municipal cities. So when you step outside of Coeur or Hayden, your rural properties jump to 5 acres and up. And the reason for that is the rural zoning was created in the mid-70s to keep urban sprawl down. And the reason they wanted to keep the urban sprawl down is because we are over one of the largest aquifers in the United States, and they wanted to keep that water table pristine. So you should know that if you're looking for rural properties, you're generally going to be looking at something that's 5 acres or more. If it has under 5 acres, it was grandfathered in during the 70s when those zoning rules came into place. Now, who am I to advise you on what to look for rural properties? I live on a rural property, been living here in Coeur on a rural property for going on 16 years now. And as a real estate agent, I have sold hundreds of rural properties and probably seen 10 times that. So that is the experience with which I come to you and share with you on what you should be looking for when you look for rural properties. Now, behind me is a house that I'm going to highlight. It has a lot of features, some of the features that we're going to be talking about that you should be looking for when you're looking for rural properties. If when you see this video, there is an MLS link in the description, that's for you to go and click on. It'll show you the price of this property, more of the details than I'm going to share with you on this video. If when you see this video, there is no MLS link, that means the property has been sold. Nevertheless, I'm going to keep this property on the video because, again, it has a lot of the features you should be looking for when you are looking for rural properties. Let's get into those features. Feature number 1 is the stuff I'm standing on. It's blacktop. And 50% or more of your properties here in rural North Idaho are going to be off of gravel dirt roads. When we first moved here, the home that we have is off of a gravel dirt road, and it was that way for the first 15 years. Just this last year, the county paved it. There is an immense difference between living off of a paved road and a gravel road. You guys, on a gravel road, you never have clean cars, clean trucks, and you never have a clean house. When you live off of a gravel road, anytime a car goes down that road, 9 months out of the year, it's spitting up dust onto your trees, your lawn, your house. There's dust inside your house. If you can, you're gonna wanna pick a property that's off of a paved road. Another thing you're gonna pay attention to when you're looking for rural properties is the color of the street sign. Green street signs mean public maintained roads. If it's blue, it's you that has to maintain it. Okay, we're going to take a couple minutes here and discuss the most important feature of a rural property, and it is this: its location. So many times people neglect all of their lifestyle needs. Those are what should direct where you buy your rural property. The price is important, but it should not drive your search. You guys need to think about all the things you need for your lifestyle and then look for that property. What we see so many times is people will buy the property and then figure out that they're too far away for the things that they need for their lifestyle. Now, I am going to use this property right here. This is the one that we've been discussing throughout the video. This property is in Athol. And it is a good prototype for you guys to think about when you're thinking about the reason you live in a rural area. Why do people move to a rural area? Well, the number one reason is they don't want to be close to the metropolitan areas, these areas down here. They want to be further away from people. If they're like me, they hate people. They want to be as far away from them as possible. However, being far away as possible from people can put you too far away from the things that you need. And what's nice about this property is it's close to everything you will need, as I'm going to point out, but yet it is still far enough away from the metropolitan areas that you don't suffer from too many people. Let's talk about the things that you want to think about. The first is healthcare. You don't want to be more than a half hour from healthcare. And you need to know that healthcare is down here in Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, and then over here in Spokane. We are, from this property, about a half hour from Coeur d'Alene, all the healthcare needs that you would need. And then when you go over to the Spokane Valley, you're an hour away from the Spokane International Airport, and that's on the extreme east end of the Spokane area. And then the Spokane Valley, as you move closer to this property, it's all going to be within that 45-minute threshold. So healthcare is close. The other thing that you need to think about is if you're a young family or you are actually going to work. Now, a lot of our clients are actually young families that are still working. They're either teachers, fire or police profession. They're in the medical profession, and they physically need to drive to work. And most of that work is going to be in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene metro area down in here. And you don't want to be more than a half hour, 45 minutes at most from all that if you're going to be commuting a lot of times during the week. That's what makes this property kind of cool, is it's not too far away for commuting, but yet it's far enough away from people. The other thing to think about is recreation. One of the reasons that we move away from the city is we want to be close to the woods, close to the water. And a lot of people say, Kory, I want to be backed up to a wildland interface. So what you see over here, this is all national forest here, and ideally people want to be backed up to it. And while I agree that's ideal, those properties are fewer than not. And when you do find them, they're going to be more expensive than not. Most of your properties that you should be considering are going to be within this little valley here of Athol and Rathdrum. And what makes this so ideal is it's in the middle of those things that you're going to want to do. So for example, if you like to fish, if you like to recreation on your boat, water ski, wakeboard, this property is literally 10 minutes from Spirit Lake. That's your nearest lake. The next nearest lake would be Lake Pend Oreille, which is east of the property. That's over here in Farragut State Park, and you can put your boat in the water within about 15 minutes. And then your other recreational opportunities are going to be the mountains that are on both sides of this valley. Over here on the west side, you've got a lot of state land and timberland that you can recreate in. And then this mass over here on the east side of the valley is all national forest. So recreation abounds, and you want to be in the middle of that so that you can reach it and not have to commute a long time. In fact, most people will get on their ATVs from this neighborhood here. Now, one of the nice things about this property is if you go over here, there's a new shopping center. It's about 10 minutes away, and you can get your grocery, your gas, all your farm supplies, and all your firearm needs met right there, literally within 10 minutes of this property. So when you guys are thinking about rural properties, this one is really good for you to use as a prototype because it's close to healthcare. It's close to the amenities that the kids are going to need if you are a young family. It's close to the recreational opportunities that are afforded by water and by the woods. Another feature many people don't think about is power. Now, this property has a generator, a Generac generator that's hooked up to propane. You can see the tank over here. Now, with the modern houses that we're building now, power doesn't go out as much as it used to. Most of your power lines are all subterranean now. They're underground. What typically causes power outages for us here in North Idaho is trees that become overburdened with snow or ice. They fall onto the power lines and then power goes out. Or you have a windstorm and blows a tree over a power line and that causes the power to go out. But lately, with all these newer homes having their utilities underground, I'm more worried about that SHTF type situation where you would lose power from the grid due to that more than the weather anymore with these new homes. But it's always nice to have a generator when the power goes out. Here in North Idaho, the reason we live in rural properties is we want to be close to the water, close to the woods, and those things typically need the toys to enjoy them. The boats, the ATVs, the motorcycles, the snowmobiles, the RVs, the travel trailers, those kinds of things you want to keep out of the weather. So at the bare minimum, you're going to want a 3-car garage. And if you get the chance and you have the budget, you're going to want to do this puppy. That's a shop. So again, if you have the ability in the rural territories to have your equipment out of the weather, you're going to want one of those. And then when we talk about a backyard, one of the nice things about rural properties, if you design them right, buy them right, is you won't have to see your neighbors around you. Now on this particular property, you can see neighbors to the front, but they're spread out. The view from the front of this house looks directly at the mountain range. Now behind me, this is the backyard. Most of the property on this particular property is behind us. And when you step out your back patio, there's the back patio there. There's nobody there for you to see you, nobody for you to bother. And those are some of the things that you're going to want to think about when you buy a rural property is, do you want to see neighbors? Another thing that a lot of people want out of a rural property is they're thinking about being more self-sufficient, growing a garden, raising some small livestock. And this property is set up to have chickens. You can see it's got a chicken coop. It's got an enclosed chicken wire exterior part so that these birds are protected from the predators. And typically around here, the predators are going to be foxes, coyotes, and more prevalent are hawks. They'll sit up in those trees, and if they see a chicken get outside of a coop, they'll be on it in a heartbeat. Nonetheless, too much information, right? In a rural property, you're going to want the ability to raise livestock, grow food. This is a good thing to think about on a rural property, is the zoning such that it allows you to have chickens and livestock. This one does. So there you have it. Those are just some thoughts that you should be thinking about as you purchase your own rural properties. And it's also a way to help me indirectly market this home, which we do have for sale. And as we close, I'll give you some aerial views of just where we're at and how blessed we are here in the valley floor of Athol and Rathdrum. Here you can see looking west towards Washington, looking northwest. Here we're looking north. On the far distance is Canada. Looking east on the far distance is the National Forest and Lake Pend Oreille. Looking southeast out on the right-hand corner is Coeur d'Alene. Looking southwest out there in the distance is the Spokane Valley. And now as we leave you with a slideshow of this beautiful home, you know that there is a link in the description below on how to get a hold of us if you have questions about this rural property or any other property that you might have in mind. Thanks for watching. Bye now.